I'm Stuart Cameron. Welcome to Friday's Look at Rugby. Last weekend, Melrose continued their winning run with a convincing victory at Boroughmuir. Hawick raced to an incredible 24-0 lead at home to Ayr in the first 15 minutes and held on for a 27-22 win to do the double over one of the top teams in Scotland. But Gala's losing streak continued when they were beaten late on at Glasgow Hawks by a penalty try. In the National League Division 1, Selkirk blew bigger away in the second half with a 26-3 win. Jed Forrest's game was called off when Hillhead Jordan Hill got stuck in traffic and they wouldn't agree to a later kick-off, while Kelso beat Peebles in the local derby. In National 3, Hawick YM lost at home to RHC and remain in 10th place. We'll look at the weekend's games at the end of the show, but today my guest is Melrose Head Coach John Dalziel, who I spoke to at the club on Tuesday night. That was an excellent result at the weekend, and we're going to get that winning formula once again.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, obviously on the heights of last year, it's been the pressure's always on to try and recreate, and we're used to that. And we've evolved a bit, and we had a young team when we started the season, and it's almost learning how to play each other and to win. And I think we've remained competitive, but we did have a few losses early on in the season. So I think we're starting to now see the fruits of the hard work put in by the guys, and we're starting to be a wee bit more like ourselves and play some more open rugby.
Because it's one of these seasons where there's been an awful lot of losses from all the teams, effectively. It's been a real wide open one.
That's right, yeah, and I think looking at last year, we only lost 3 games all season, so to lose 4 in the first 10, 11 games was. But you start looking at everybody else's, we seem to have recaptured a bit of form, and everybody else is dropping off a little bit. And there's, I think the minimum's 3 defeats in the league, and then it's 4, 5, 6, and more. So it's turning out to be a really highly competitive league, and one win in one of these earlier games would have had us in second position at the moment. So it's very, very fine margins.
Do you think people are kind of looking at this season a little bit differently because of the fact that there's playoffs involved and kind of like a marathon rather than a sprint this time?
Definitely, yeah. And I mean, obviously, looking to win a league outright, we've been in the pleasure of having to do that in the last couple of years. And to do that, there is usually quite a big difference between first and fourth in the league. And I think that it has opened up a huge bit of competition in not only the top half, but in that middle section now. And you've got basically everybody in the top 8 teams that are capable of getting into that top 4. So it adds to the pressure every game. And as we get week on week, the games start running out for teams, and everybody's looking over their position, over their shoulder for results. It's going to be more competitive.
But of course, when you get wins like you've done, just back-to-back wins, you immediately see the difference in the changing room. The kind of the pressure's lifted and people are beginning to get that confidence back. That's
right, yeah, and I think that it's always been a target here is to try and get a string of wins, and obviously we've got a pretty good win ratio going back a long time, but it's all about trying to get a concealed 2 or 3 game run minimum of wins and kicking on from that. So we looked at this 3 game window, obviously a good win against Accies before the break, and then we looked at that as being a real, a key way of trying to get in a good position before we went into Christmas. And 2 games into that 3 games, we've done what we've set out to do. And they don't come any bigger than Hawks again this week, who've got the best defensive record in the league. So every game has its challenges.
And of course, you went down there early in the season, 17-7. You won. This is your second game now back at the Green Yards, and then of course you got them in the cup as well.
That's right. Yeah. No, I mean, obviously there's 2 big games, a big league game, and then a couple of weeks break, and then we're straight into a cup game against them. So, for us, it's very much about moving on every week, not dwelling on wins or whatever. We've got to just keep building and changing, and we've got to look at how we beat Hawks this Saturday, and then we've got to look at how we change that for the cup game, regardless of the result on Saturday, how we change a bit going into the 3rd of January as well.
So what's the injury situation with Melrose at the moment? Is it fairly okay?
Yeah, I mean, I think we were, obviously had our issues at the beginning of the season. We're starting to get guys back. Obviously, Todd Pearce is out until at least probably February time, who's been a key guy. He was a leader. He finished the season skipping in the team, and he's been a great asset for Fraser to help him alongside. But he got quite a nasty injury training with Edinburgh a few weeks back. He's had an operation, so he's on the mend. So obviously he's one of the big standout ones. We've had Neil Irvin Hess missing the last couple of weeks, but we've started to be able to get a bit depth in the squad now that we are able to take 1 or 2 injuries. So and our Storm team are, we've got a whole team full of young, bristling 19-year-olds that are just ready to step in. And 3/4 of this season, developing and training with the guys is putting them in, and we see improvements in them every week. So we're really happy where we are squad-wise at the moment.
And certainly, when you talk about depth, you look at people like Wilson, of course, who can't even get in the team at the moment because there's just so much talent there.
That's right, and Tom is probably a good example of what we need to be in. The competitive, obviously, if we're only one deep in every position, then you don't win very many things. You know, your squad will be challenged at one time, and you know, at the moment it's the 9 part where we've really looked at redeploying Bruce Colvin, come back late. You know, but we started the season without Bruce, and Bruce had signed for Darlington, so we're really planning on not having him. And Tommy was the front runner with Murdo, the two of them, and you know, two's a good balance. And then obviously we get BC back, so we've looked to utilise him in other places, which frees it up for Tommy. And then we get Sean Kennedy released the last couple of weeks. And the good thing is, internally, there's not any. Everybody understands the process and procedures. We have to embrace these pros. They may add to the club game massively, and Sean's came in and done a great job. And you know, Tommy was lucky enough with an injury to Murdo to get a shot in the squad. And we just need to look at how we manage them, because Tommy's a fantastic player, and we need to develop him. This is his first real season of being a first team player in Premiership 1, so you know, he's got a massive future ahead of him as well.
So Glasgow Hawks this week obviously at Melrose, and then January the 3rd you kick off with them again. Sandwich in between, the Waverley Cup. Now Gallagher's won the last 3. I think 4 years ago at Netherdale you smashed them 37-21 or something. It's a big result. But obviously it's that bragging rights thing, and Waverley Cup really does mean a lot.
It does, yeah. It's a huge game, and usually around Christmas time, unfortunately, we've got people going away here, there and everywhere to see family, and you know, you're kind of relying on the squad you have available. But you know, as I said before, we've got a lot of guys playing really well in our Storm team. They need a shot, and that might be. We'll be ultra competitive with it, and we'll give them a strong enough base to get into. But we will look at getting these squad players a bit of game time in that game. And you know, it's a Gala Melrose game. Everybody wants to win it, and there is absolutely no way we're going up there not to. And we need to maybe readdress that last 3 years' results.
So that's obviously a one-off, the Waverley Cup, that everyone looks forward to, and it's always a big crowd, of course, and this time it's at Netherdale, last year at the Green Yards. But looking at the Booker Border League this season, it is one of the most competitive ones for a long time. Hoyk obviously did a number on you. You beat Gala, so at the moment it looks to be a 3-horse race, and it's really beginning to get quite exciting. I
think Gala will get some form, and Gala are a good team, and I think that the Border League's something that they've taken really serious over the last few years. It's something everybody does, but for us, we're going to try and look at with the British and Irish Cup missing a bit, and the kind of the lack of games. We need to have some games that are an avenue for players to come through as well. So, and we can do that by being as competitive as we can be as well. But yeah, as you alluded to, it's not just about us and what we want to do. Hoyk have put a spanner in the works with their defeat to us, and I'm sure Gala will have a big say in it as well going forward.
Now, Scotland under-20s, it's just been announced, 3 matches here at Netherdale, one of them at 6 o'clock, I think, for the Welsh game on February the 13th, and then 2 weeks later, Italy down here, and then another fortnight goes by and Ireland come here as well. So 3 fantastic games for local people here in the Borders, and you're involved again.
That's right, yeah, and I think it's a credit to the Borders people there that it's been... this is our 3rd year being camped here, and it's been a request internally from the players and from the management team as well that we really want to make Netherdale our home. It's a great venue for rugby. It's a great surface. The Borders people have came out and supported it really well. And we've had a great, if you look back to 2 years ago, we won 2 games there against Ireland and Italy. So it's a good hunting ground for the boys as well. If you look back to the Scotland A game against the Saxons as well, we've the representative teams have got good form there, and we're looking this year to really big it up and get a wee bit more immersed into the community as well when we're down here, and as I say, make it a real home for Scottish rugby during that period.
Well, just finally, Melrose always a club that's going places, and there's plenty of things going on behind the scenes. Have you got any little exclusives for us going into the new year about new players, new signings, anything happening with the club? We're
looking at always improving structures, and we've obviously started a group for our college. We're trying to bridge that gap a little bit into professional rugby. We've started a 2-hour session additional on a Monday for those that are at university, headed up by our strength and conditioning coach, Bill Noble. And we've got a good turnout at that, which is a good hour of strength and conditioning on a 1-to-1 basis, with a majority of players, the younger players that are at university or between jobs, or just basically not active doing anything. So we're looking at doing that, and that adds into their club stuff as well. And with the future hope of semi-professional rugby, then that's something that we'll always consider and gear towards, is how we do make the whole club game more professional.
And it's always good to see the youngsters coming through, of course, from the Melrose Wasps, etc. Could you give us 2 or 3 names of people that you think are coming up, which we should really be looking out for in the next couple of years?
Definitely, I think we've got Cammy Mackay, Gavin Wood, guys that came up, Angus Runciman Goose, as well. You've got Conor McCauley, all these guys, Callum Cruikshank, the 5 of them are guys that have came out with that successful Wasp team last year. They've been training behind the scenes with the first team all year, put through all the kind of duress stuff, even extended on a Thursday night. Cameron's we've had him out to Watsonians playing 2 or 3 Premier 2 games when it suited us. So we want to sacrifice a little bit of our own internal thoughts in terms of putting out a strong seconds team all the time to maybe get these guys a chance at Premier 2 rugby if we can't offer them first team rugby here straight away. And we're trying to develop players for the top end of the game to be competitive to win a league. It's not the easiest transition from a 17-year-old, so we could sit on that and we could just let it wander. Or we've took an active step last year with the Watsonians bridge, and that's been really key in getting 2 or 3 players at the right times, games to say, well, this is a step up for second team rugby, and it's another step on my development, with a view of them being ready next year come pre-season to be first team Melrose players.
So it's all good?
All good, yeah, and it's hard work as ever, but we'll enjoy that, and players and the whole coaching team we've got here are all focused on doing that.
John Dalziel, whose team is at home to Glasgow Hawks tomorrow. That's a 2 o'clock kick-off. Of course, the big derby is at 3, with Gala and Hawick doing battle in a very intriguing fixture at Netherdale. Gala looking for their 11th straight win against Hawick, but they've lost their last 5 Premiership games, and Hawick have hit a good run of form, so it would be a brave man who predicts that result, especially when we know that Hawick are great starters this season in games, and Gala are great finishers. That's at Netherdale at 3 o'clock. In National League 1, Selkirk are away at Hillhead Jordan Hill, looking to get their 13th win in the league out of 13. And on paper, that should be a formality with a try bonus. But as Selkirk's Scott Hendry told me, nothing is being taken for granted.
We don't really look at the form book as such. We just stick to our game plan. We'll go up there and kind of treat them with respect that they deserve, because you never know what can happen if you don't give them the respect. We'll stick to our game plan and hopefully come away with another 4 or 5 pointer.
Also in National 1, Peebles are at home to Aberdeen Grammar. Jed Forest have a tough trip to Dundee, and Kelso go to Biggar. In National League 3, Hawick YM are away to DL. In other games, Hawick Lindeen visit Dalkeith, Hawick Quinns host North Berwick, Langham and Berwick go head-to-head at Milltown, and Duns visit Linlithgow, all in East League 1. In East League 2, St Boswell's look to win yet again as they take on Lismore at home, while Earlston face Liberton, and in East League 3, Walkerburn are at home to Gala YM. The featured match on Radio Border's Super Scoreboard Live tomorrow with Keith Clarkson will be Gala versus Hawick. That's of course in the Premiership. Stuart McFarlane and Dale Clancy will commentate for you. But that's it for your rugby tonight.